Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive. Let's just start by picturing this. A remote village just founded, really, and things happen there that just seem, well, impossible.
Yeah, like magnets pulling metal so hard that house beams actually groan.
Exactly. Or a man chasing a dream, a utopian idea that kind of drives him over the edge.
So today we're diving deep. Our mission here is to pull out the key insights, the really surprising bits from this amazing collection of sources. They describe a place, a family, honestly, like nothing else.
Right.
It's this huge story full of drama, invention, war, and, well, things you just can't easily explain.
It really blends the everyday with the absolutely miraculous, makes you question, what's real.
Definitely. So we're looking at Macondo, the town, and the Buendía family. Their fates are completely tangled up.
A story that definitely doesn't play by the usual rules. Let's jump in.
Okay.
It all starts with José Arcadio Buendía. The sources call him a man of unbridled imagination. He literally dreamed up Macondo, built it from scratch.
Yeah, with this almost utopian vision, didn't he? Planning the streets, access to the river.
Meticulously, he laid out the streets so no house got more sun than any other. Really thought it through.
And for years, it apparently worked. The sources say it was a truly happy village where no one had reached 30 and no one had died.
Imagine that. Just complete peace. But, does that early perfection tell us something about him? Or maybe about how fragile those kinds of perfect worlds are?
That's a great question. I think the sources really stress how his imagination, while it created this paradise, also kind of sowed the seeds for its downfall. It suggests that even the best laid plans, these utopias, they're vulnerable, especially when you factor in human nature, and particularly his nature, prone to these huge, impractical obsessions.
And that impractical side, it latched onto something new pretty quickly, right? The peace didn't last.
No, it was shattered, or at least seriously disrupted by Melquiades, the gypsy.
Ah, Melquiades. His arrival sounds incredible. These magical demonstrations. Magnets making pots and pans fly around.
Exactly. Kongs, nails trying to pull themselves out of the wood, beams groaning under the force. It must have been astonishing.
And he said that famous line, "Things have a soul, the only thing is to awaken it."
Which is, a pretty deep philosophical statement. But Jose Arcadio Buendia took it very literally.
Yeah, he immediately thought gold.
Right.
Use the magnets to find gold.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And Melquiades, who the sources describe as quite honest, warned him straight up, that won't work.
But that didn't stop him.
Not at all. It just set him off on this relentless path.
Yeah.
Obsession after obsession, mostly leading nowhere.
The sources paint a picture of him just completely letting himself go, right?
Slovenly, disheveled, totally lost in these schemes. People who knew him were apparently stunned by how much Melquiades affected him. It shows how quickly even a, well, seemingly rational person can get swept away by these grand ideas.
And the grand ideas kept coming. That quest for the sea.
Oh, yeah, that was later. Almost delusional, wasn't it? Trying to find a route over mountains everyone knew were impassable.
Mountains his own ancestors had given up on crossing. He knew about Rio Hacha, the city beyond them. His grandfather used to hunt alligators there.
But he was convinced he could find a way. Gathered an expedition, men from the village.
Through those blue-tinged forests, swamps, rivers. Sounds incredibly dangerous.
It was 14 months, the sources say. And Ursula, his wife, actually gave birth to their son Aureliano during that trip.
No way.
Yeah, spent most of it in a hammock. Her legs were so swollen. But after nearly 2 years,
Nothing.
they never found the sea. They just had to turn back. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Macondo was founded because they gave up that road before.
It really speaks to how failure sometimes leads to unexpected beginnings in this story.
Exactly. Progress born from failed ambition.
So we have José Arcadio Buendía, the dreamer, the obsessor, but the real heart of this saga, you could argue, is the Buendía family itself. Their personalities, these patterns that keep repeating, how did that shape everything?
That's the perfect place to go next. Because if José Arcadio was lost in his dreams, Ursula, his wife, she was the complete opposite.
The pragmatist.
Absolutely. The sources call her industrious, serious, working constantly, dawn till midnight.
While he's chasing alchemy or sea routes,
She's keeping the house running spotless. And she started that sweets business, remember, selling little candy animals.
right, made from milk and figs, shaped like roosters and fish.
And that business ended up making more money than her son Aureliano's silversmithing later on.
It really shows that core tension, doesn't it? The dreamer versus the doer, grand ideas versus, well, survival.
A tension you see again and again through the generations.
And speaking of generations and unique characters, Rebecca, her arrival is just Bizarre.
Oh, definitely. Showing up as a child, carrying a canvas sack.
With her parents' bones inside.
Yeah. And her habits.
Oh.
Eating dirt, plaster off the walls, sucking her thumb constantly.
The dirt eating, it's explained later as this intense longing, right,
Yeah.
for the earth of her ancestors.
A really powerful, almost primal connection to where she came from. It's such a striking image.
It really is. And you mentioned patterns earlier. The names, that's something that really jumps out when you read these sources.
It's unavoidable, this repetition of names. What's going on there? How do the Jose Arcadios and the Aurelianos seem to fall into these predetermined roles?
It's fascinating. The sources make it pretty clear. The Jose Arcadios, like the founder, they tend to be impulsive, physically strong, adventurous.
Right, like the original Jose Arcadios exploits, running off with the gypsies.
And the later Jose Arcadio II, his boldness during the strike.
Okay, and the Aurelianos.
They lean towards being introverted, intellectual, solitary. Think of the first Aureliano, the silversmith, quiet, intense.
Who then becomes this famous Colonel Aureliano Buendía, but still solitary in his own way.
Exactly. And Ursula, she saw this pattern early on. She actually used name tags on the twins, Aureliano II and Jose Arcadio II, to tell them apart.
Trying to keep track, impose some order.
Yeah. It suggests this isn't just a coincidence. It's like a narrative device underlining that cyclical fate. They're almost trapped in repeating these roles.
Wow, okay. And then there was that plague, the insomnia plague.
Oh, God, yes. So unsettling. Gripped the whole town. People lost their memories.
And had these weird waking dreams, seeing other people's dream figures, like the house was full of ghosts.
Yeah. And Ursula, practical as ever, comes up with a cure, a belladonna syrup.
But the cure, or rather the sweets she made, initially spread it, right?
Yeah.
Because they were infected.
Exactly. Her candy business inadvertently spread the plague. It led to this strange period. Everyone was hyperactive because they weren't sleeping, but also forgetting everything.
A whole town losing its collective memory. That's quite a metaphor.
It really is, for how easily memory, history can be lost or maybe even manipulated.
Which kind of links into the whole world of love, jealousy, forbidden desires in the family. Things that seem to operate outside normal memory or logic sometimes.
Like Pilar Ternera, the fortune teller.
Right. She's like the town oracle, isn't she? Especially about love. Had that early affair with Jose Arcadio.
Who got scared and just abandoned her.
But she stuck around. Had relationships with his descendants too. Always reading cards, seeing the future.
She's this constant presence, this source of foreknowledge, which the family often ignores.
Yeah, to their detriment usually.
And the love triangle, Rebecca, Pietro Crespi, Amaranta, that gets complicated.
Very. Pietro Crespi arrives, this elegant Italian, brings music boxes, a player piano.
Gets engaged to Rebecca, but she's still sad, crying for days even though she's engaged.
Intense, quiet sadness, the sources say. Meanwhile, her sister Amaranta is just consumed by jealousy. Deep, hidden jealousy.
To the point she makes a vow to stop the wedding.
It's a self-destructive vow. And then burns her hand over coals as some kind of penance. It's extreme.
And her obsession doesn't stop there. Later, she starts sewing Rebecca's shroud meticulously. What does that level of jealousy, that fixation, tell us about Amaranta?
I think it's a really stark look at how bitterness and unfulfilled desire can just fester. It defines her, drives her to self-inflicted pain, this morbid focus on death.
It really plays into that theme of destructive, unspoken feelings within the family.
Definitely. And then you have Aureliano's first love for Remedios Moscote.
Presented as so pure, so intense, but she was incredibly young.
Almost disturbingly so.
Yeah.
Still wetting the bed, needing to be taught basic hygiene.
The family had to basically train her for marriage. How to wash, how to do chores.
It's an uncomfortable passage,
Yeah.
but it highlights his naive intensity, maybe, and the perhaps questionable customs of the time and place.
But the narrative just weaves these things together with moments of pure magic, like the butterflies.
Yellow butterflies.
Yeah.
Around Mauricio Babylonia, Mime's secret lover.
They just swarm around him. It's not treated as weird, just a fact.
Classic magical realism. The fantastical is just part of everyday reality. It's like a signal, isn't it? Mime knows he's near because of the butterflies.
Almost like a supernatural calling card. But Fernanda, Mimi's mother, sees him differently.
Yeah, she finds him strange, thinks he looks like he's about to die, which tragically foreshadows what happens.
Her prejudice leads to Mauricio being shot, paralyzing him, the end of their affair, magic and tragedy side by side.
Perfectly put. And then, woven through all of this, is that really unsettling theme of Incest.
It keeps coming back. Jose Arcadio and Pilar Tenera early on. Aureliana Jose wanting Amaranta.
And then the big one at the end, the last Aureliano and Amaranta Ursula. What's the significance of this constant return to forbidden relationships?
The sources heavily imply it's not just scandal. It's directly tied to the family's fate, their cyclical nature.
Driving them towards their prophesied
Well,
end.
exactly. Like it's part of this closed loop they can't break out of.
Yeah.
A self-perpetuating pattern leading back to their origins and ultimately their doom.
Wow. Okay. Let's shift gears a bit then. How does Macondo itself start interacting with the outside world? Politics, war. That seems like a major turning point.
Huge. Initially, Macondo was fiercely independent. Jose Arcadio Buendia was proud of it, said they didn't need a government.
Pointed to the fact they didn't even have a cemetery as proof of their peace.
Right. But then Don Apolinar Moscote arrives, the magistrate, representing the government.
External authority. And Jose Arcadio Buendia didn't take kindly to that.
Not at all. Stood up to him, insisted Macondo governed itself, even threatened Moscote's armed guards.
But how long can that kind of isolation really hold? The fragility becomes clear pretty quickly, doesn't it, during an election?
Oh, yeah, the election fraud. Moscote just blatantly manipulates the votes, switches conservative red ballots for liberal blue ones.
Leaves only 10 red ballots, just to make it look vaguely plausible, ensuring the conservatives win.
And Aureliano witnesses this, the quiet silversmith. He's shocked.
It's his political awakening, right?
Yeah.
Seeing that corruption firsthand.
That's the moment. It pushes him from being this apolitical craftsman into a revolutionary.
The transformation is incredible. Silversmith Aureliano becomes Colonel Aureliano Buendia, legendary figure.
Triggered by the government's actions, the threat to what he saw as liberal ideals, he starts these uprisings.
32 armed uprisings, the sources say, and loses every single one.
Every single one. Fathers 17 sons with 17 different women along the way.
And all 17 sons are eventually hunted down and killed, usually marked with crosses of ash on their foreheads.
It's brutal, but the colonel himself seems almost immortal. Survives assassination attempts, ambushes even a firing squad. The numbers are just staggering.
14 attempts on his life, 73 ambushes. But what does this endless, ultimately failed struggle really say about his commitment? Or maybe about the futility of war in this world?
That's the core of it, I think. His resilience is almost superhuman, yeah. But the fact that all his wars fail and his sons die, it's not a glorious war story.
No, it feels more like a comment on the devastating cycle of conflict, the personal cost.
And his eventual retreat, back to his workshop, making little goldfish.
Selling them, melting them down, starting again, over and over.
It's not just retirement, it feels like profound disillusionment. Trying to find meaning in something small, repetitive, after a life spent on this grand, unwinnable cause.
He even draws a chalk circle around himself, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To keep people away. Total isolation.
While the colonel was off fighting, his nephew, Arcadio, he had a brief spell in charge back in Macondo.
Right, appointed military and civil chief. And it didn't go well.
No, he became a bit of a tyrant. Forced conscription, seizing property.
Didn't last long, though.
No. Swiftly overthrown and executed by firing squad. Another Buendia meeting a violent end.
There's also that interesting relationship between Colonel Aureliano Buendia and the conservative general, Jose Raquel Moncada.
Right. They were enemies politically, but they respected each other.
Developed a real mutual respect, played chess together, even talked about a different future for the country, a more humane one.
Hope across the battle lines.
A brief glimmer. But it gets crushed. Moncada is eventually executed by the revolutionary forces, despite Aureliano's attempts to save him.
Leaving Aureliano conflicted.
Deeply. It just hammers home the tragedy of it all. How even personal connection can't stop the machinery of war.
Okay, let's move to another huge disruption, maybe the biggest. The arrival of the Banana Company.
Ah, yes. Starts innocently, almost, with Aureliano Triste bringing an ice factory on that yellow train.
The first time many in Macondo had seen ice.
But then the same train brings Mr. Herbert and Mr. Jack Brown, the Banana Company representatives.
And everything changes. Macondo explodes, wealth, modernization, but also chaos.
It goes from this sleepy village to a bustling, almost frantic town. Seems like progress, right? But what's the real cost?
That's the question, because the sources are clear about the dark side, the exploitation.
Terrible conditions for the workers. Living in squalor. Healthcare that was basically just sulfate pills for everything.
Paid in-company coupons only usable at company stores. And those lawyers.
The black-suited lawyers, yeah, always there to deny workers' rights using legal trickery.
It's a classic story of economic power, just steamrolling local people and autonomy. Progress, but for whom?
Exactly. And inevitably, it leads to conflict. The workers finally organize, demand better treatment, they go on strike.
A massive strike, thousands of workers, and then the massacre.
Unspeakable. The army is brought in and they just open fire on the strikers. Thousands killed.
But here's the truly chilling part, the crucial detail from the sources. The official story.
Complete denial. The government says no one died, nothing happened. The company just pauses operations, quote, until the rain stopped.
It raises that terrifying question, doesn't it? What is truth when power can simply erase it? How do you hold on to reality when the official narrative completely denies a massacre you witnessed?
It's profoundly disturbing. And the aftermath. It's almost biblical.
The rain.
The endless rain. 4 years, 11 months, and 2 days, the sources say. Just relentless.
Like it's washing Macondo away, cleansing it after the massacre.
It causes total devastation. The banana plantations are destroyed, the town decays, the wild starts reclaiming everything, the few survivors become utterly isolated.
It feels symbolic, doesn't it? A deluge washing away not just the town, but maybe the memory of the crime itself, reinforcing that sense of powerlessness against history, against denial.
Absolutely. Which brings us really to the final stages, the family's descent into solitude, the prophecies coming true.
Rebecca's end is so emblematic of that solitude. After her husband, Jose Arcadio, dies.
The one who returned hugely overweight and covered in tattoos.
Right. After he dies, she just shuts herself away completely.
Becomes a recluse in her decaying house. Her only contact is her servant. Dies completely alone.
Still sucking her thumb, still with those strange habits from her childhood, just utter isolation. What does that tell us?
It feels like the endpoint of that theme of solitude running through the family. The grand dreams, the connections, they've all withered away into this self-imposed oblivion. She embodies that failure to connect.
And Amaranta, too, her story ends in solitude, though maybe a different kind.
Yeah, her life was defined by those unfulfilled desires, that bitterness towards Rebecca, the unrequited love for Pietro Crespi.
It all leads to her meticulously preparing her own funeral shroud.
But she foresaw her own death, didn't she? And unlike others, she dies peacefully, on her own terms almost.
There's that strange detail, though. Her inability to cry for people she loved until she actually saw their bodies. A kind of emotional detachment.
Or maybe emotions so deep they couldn't surface easily.
Yeah.
It's complex. But her end is also solitary, marked by this long-nursed resentment and resignation.
And then the key that unlocks everything, or maybe locks it shut, the manuscripts.
Melchiades manuscripts, written Sanskrit, full of codes.
And pursued by two later Buendias, Aureliano, the son of Amaranta Ursula, and Jose Arcadio II, the one who witnessed the massacre.
They both become obsessed with deciphering them.
Yeah.
And they discover the manuscripts contain the entire history of the family.
Every detail. But here's the kicker, the crucial twist.
They're not written in chronological order.
Exactly. The history's all there, but scrambled. You can only truly understand the whole story, the prophecy, right at the very end.
Meaning, the family lived out their entire history without understanding the pattern, without seeing the destiny laid out for them. A blind march.
Until the very last Aureliano, his relationship with his aunt, Amaranta Ursula.
The final taboo. The incestuous relationship that fulfills the old fears.
Leading to the birth of the child with the pig's tail, the curse realized.
The ultimate symbol of the family turning in on itself, the cycle closing.
And it's this last Aureliano who finally cracks the code. He's deciphering the manuscripts as the end approaches. What does he find?
He finds his own story, his parents' story, the entire lineage, everything we've just talked about, all foretold.
Right down to the final moment.
Yeah. The prophecy states the family line, and Macondo itself will be wiped out, will disappear forever, the instant he finishes deciphering the last verse.
So reading the history is the end of the history.
It's devastating. The realization that their whole existence, all the struggles, the loves, the wars, it was all pre-written. A narrative trap they couldn't escape. The cycle had to break violently, finally.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, wow, Macondo, the Buendias, it leaves you with so much. These huge themes just echo.
Definitely. Solitude. That's maybe the biggest one.
Yeah.
Despite this huge, sprawling family, everyone seems fundamentally alone.
Yeah. And the cycles, things repeating, fate, destiny, whatever you want to call it, the pull is
The
intoxicated.
tension, too, between progress like the banana company brought and tradition, and that blurred line between magic and reality.
But solitude, It permeates everything. It feels like the ultimate message almost. That despite everything, they live out this destiny alone and it ends in complete erasure.
Haunting idea.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Mhm.
If an entire family's history, all of it, can be written down before it happens and only understood as the very last person is living it. What does that say about free will? About destiny?
About the power of stories themselves, maybe.
Yeah. What stands out to you listening to this, that idea of a family living out a prophecy they don't even know they're carrying, something to really ponder?